Individualism was also at the root of a number of homesteading experiments. One of its key theorists was Ralph Bersotti, who believed the only viable social organization was a society of homesteaders who were self-sustaining and who could live without interference from government. Mildred Loomis, one of Bersotti's associates, became a homesteader in the 1940s.
Having grown up on a Nebraska farm, I didn't know anybody was poor or anybody was in need. I was a very naive person when I hit New York City in my graduate work, though I began to be very puzzled by what was called the Great Depression. Remember that? No?
I've heard of it.
You, fortunately, didn't struggle with that. But then's when I really began to question and to be aware of what I call the government system. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can understand that when I was young, I had a great dream there on the Nebraska farm that if I were to have what I really wanted, I would be a secretary to a congressman in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. But by the time I met Ralph Bersotti working there in Dayton, I had question after question to think through.
All of this centers around homesteading.
Yes.
What principles are there in homesteading that are important?
Well, I would say, in one word, it's responsibility. I think a person who is responsible, and by ethics and by the whole natural setting, must be responsible for his own survival. And wherever that is violated by government or business or education or cities or anything at all, where responsibility is taken from human beings, we think it's a mistake.
Do you see any similarities between what you're trying to do in anarchism or the principles?
Well, if you mean Gilbert Tucker, Benjamin Tucker's anarchism, yes, by all means, because I, years ago, was thrilled by his way to get rid of the monopoly and the exploitation and get it into voluntary association. Sure, I'm all for that. I'm not afraid of the term anarchism, if that's what you mean.
That is what we mean.
But you know, if it's one of these bomb-throwing collectivists against everything, then we question the use of that term. But for good, straight, voluntary, do-it-yourself, we can handle, we can cope, yes.
Great.